In the blast, there are also reports that several security personnel attached to VIPs were injured. Investigations are currently underway. Mnangagwa took power in November of 2017 after longtime leader Robert Mugabe stepped down following a military intervention. The July 30th vote is the first without Mugabe since independence in 1980. Earlier, we spoke to our journalist, Emmerson Mnangagwa in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe.
As soon as President Mnangagwa just finished delivering his address, as he was leaving the podium, there was an explosion at the VIP stage. We understand that Vice President Chiwenga was the one who was closest to the explosion, but we are told that he's safe. The VIPs the people that were on the stage have been taken to Mater Dei Hospital. And now, getting access to Mater Dei Hospital is very difficult since the presidential guard has actually taken over, security around the heightened security around the hospital. We just got confirmation that the president is indeed safe at State House, but we are still waiting to actually get a formal communication from the president's office as to what really happened and how many people have been injured.
Absolutely. That was going to be my next question. Effort, can you confirm any number of fatalities or injuries at this stage?
Yes, there were quite a number of injuries. People that were close to the site of the explosion, that were very close. The security personnel that were near the area where the explosion took place were seriously hurt. That I can confirm. In terms of the numbers is what we are still trying to gather at the present moment.
All right.
So we are actually waiting for we just got confirmation a few minutes ago that there might actually be an official statement from the president's office in the next few minutes. They are just preparing to give us updates as to how many people have been injured.
And Effort, you're saying that the state police have now taken control of this situation. It must be quite chaotic. Just describe the scene to us.
Okay, right now I'm actually driving to the hospital, and I've actually been told that it's no longer accessible because the military police and the presidential guard have actually blocked access to the public for some of the roads that lead to the hospital. So I'm still trying to get my way there. But also the State House, I tried to go to the State House because the local broadcaster had gone to the State House, but I was told that at the present moment, there's nothing that they can assist me with. They'll get back to us if they are ready to give us. So security is actually just heightened immediately after this explosion.
All right, and Effort, with the current tensions between the two parties, the MDC and the ZANU-PF, and we've heard the utterances from both the leaders in this past week talking about the elections, that they might not even be free and fair because of the things that are still happening within, of course, the legislature, President Mnangagwa's legislature. Talk to us about that. Have you heard any rumors about who might actually be behind the attack?
Well, talking to other colleagues and journalists or people, just trying to get information, most people are saying actually this is more internal than it is external. The reason being that the venue where it happened, this is the same venue where Grace Mugabe was booed last year. This is the same venue that triggered all the activities of November 2017, where Grace Mugabe was booed and former President Mugabe threatened to expel. In fact, I actually gave an indication that he was going to fire Emmerson Mnangagwa the following day. So this is the same venue that Emmerson Mnangagwa had actually returned back to the same venue. And even when he began his delivery, he actually cited that this is the place that has led to everything else that we are seeing in the present day.
All right.
So I think suspicion is that it's more internal than it is external from the opposition.
All right. Okay. Effort, don't go away. I just want to bring in Sophie Mokoena here. She's sitting with me in studio. She's our acting foreign editor. Sophie, what do you think about these developments? We just been doing a story about a similar blast out in Ethiopia.
Quite scary. This morning, it was Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, the prime minister there. He was supposed to address the rally and then the explosion. Little did we know that later today it will be the SADC region and Zimbabwe. I know very well that yesterday we spoke with Emmerson Mnangagwa, who told me that he will be heading to Bulawayo to cover this rally. And later we were informed that even the leader of the opposition, Chamisa, is going to the same region in Bulawayo. And it is for that reason, we were rushing to Chamisa to cover Chamisa after Mnangagwa had spoken, and then this explosion. But like Effort has indicated earlier on, that this place, in fact, when Effort called me yesterday, he said to me, it is the very same place where there are suspicions or there were allegations that Mnangagwa was poisoned. And also allegations of Grace Mugabe being booed there. So that area is quite volatile, and now we hear this news. But the sad thing is that you know very well that Troika, the organ on politics and defense in the SADC region, they just concluded a meeting in Angola yesterday, where ministers of foreign affairs, ministers of defense, ministers of security, minister of intelligence were there discussing the issue of security in the SADC region. And the focus mainly was around DRC and Lesotho. And now here is Zimbabwe. It is a big story. It is a big international story.
You know, let's go back to Effort, Sophie. Effort, maybe, I don't know if you observed, did you observe that there was adequate or extra security that was afforded this event in light, of course, of the recent security threats?
Well, visibly, there was no extra security that I can confirm. But as a journalist, we go through the normal security checks every time we have to cover some of this. Every time we have to cover the president. And we went through that, the normal routine that we go through. So nothing was really amiss or nothing was special. Even the Mnangagwa himself, when he delivered his address, he was calm. He was actually making jokes about the venue, White City Stadium. And really, there was no tension, nothing up until the point of the explosion really gave an indication as to something bad might happen. So there was no extra security.
All right. And then that briefing, Effort, just give us, I know you're on your way to the venue now, but just give us a kind of expectant time when we can expect that briefing from the president.
From the president, what I got is that they said they will communicate to the media. Maybe they will do it through the state media, or they will call us back. Because right now, most of the journalists, we are heading to the hospital to see what we can get or to see if we can speak to anyone there. So we are actually waiting. I think the secret, the Zimbabwean government does not really, or the previous government never used to release information in time. So we will still have to wait and find out what transpires as the day progresses. All
right, Effort, we'll definitely touch base with you in a short while. Sophie, what do you want to add to that? I mean, this is very interesting. It means now the SADC Troika organ on security needs to sit down and look at our neighbors.
I think they have to reconvene and look at what's happening in Zimbabwe. And the president of South Africa, who is the chair of SADC, I am definitely sure currently he's in constant communication with his peers, particularly the president of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, because President Cyril Ramaphosa is currently the chair of SADC. And I indicated earlier on that we were there yesterday in Angola, where the organ on politics and defense converged in Angola to discuss the issues of security in the region, but also looking at the Great Lakes region because of the DRC. And now this incident, I think this is going to be one of the big stories in the region, because the question is who, why, and what was the intention. But like I indicated to you, for me, what is very surprising is that this morning we were dealing with Addis Ababa. I called Addis Ababa to ask Coletta to rush and do the story after the explosion in Addis Ababa. And now this afternoon, we're now dealing with Bulawayo in Zimbabwe. And these two venues, in Addis, the Prime Minister was supposed to address the rally.
Yes.
And here in the SADC region, in Bulawayo, after Mnangagwa spoke. Therefore, the issue of security on the continent definitely, I think, will be high on the agenda of the AU summit. You know that in Mauritania, this coming weekend, the AU summit, heads of state and government will converge and discuss issues on the continent. And I think this issue of security is going to dominate the talks.
But, you know, Sophie, I want to bring you back to this question that I asked Effort. Do you think that the current election tensions between the parties might have spurred the violence at the rally?
I can't confirm or deny. The reality is a proper investigation must be conducted. Because for me, the fact that there was an explosion in Addis Ababa, in the Horn of Africa, almost up north, and now on the SADC region, in the SADC region, in Zimbabwe, I think the investigation should not be confined in terms of the internal politics of either Ethiopia or of Zimbabwe. On the same day, in the morning, it's Addis Ababa. In the afternoon, it's Zimbabwe, Bulawayo. Therefore, when you look at this problem or what has transpired today, you have to look at it holistically.
Yeah.
And I guess the security establishment or structures in those countries will have to dig deep and really investigate. And the neighboring countries can also assist, because for me, it's bigger than those two countries.
Absolutely. I hear we still have Effort on the line. Effort, if you can still hear me, I mean, such a brazen attack. And we hear that this actually, the explosion was right at the VVIP area. So this could be a very well planned and a targeted attack, or even an attempt on the president's life. Effort, can you hear us? All right, I think we've just lost Effort there. What do you want to say to that question, though, Sophie? I mean, such a brazen attack. Why would people want to go and bomb the VVIP tent?
Well, clearly there was a target. It's not clear yet who was the target, but clearly there was a target. And I think the investigation will unpack, share some light in terms of who was targeted and what are the reasons and who was behind this attack, or who are the people behind this attack. And like I said, I think as a continent, as we look at this issue of Zimbabwe this afternoon, let us not forget that this morning there was a similar incident in Addis Ababa. And the Prime Minister, who is the head of state there, head of government, was about to address the rally.
You know, Sophie, the security concerns when it comes to the SADC region have almost been non-existent. We've always talked about how Lesotho was the one where the Troika organ on security was busiest at. But now seeing such attacks, does it hit closer to home?
And it is very dangerous because Zimbabwe is very volatile. Zimbabwe is very volatile. In fact, my question right now is, what's going to happen tonight? What's likely to happen tomorrow, particularly on the eve of elections? We know on the 30th of July, the country must go to the polls. What does this suggest?
All right, Sophie, I'm going to leave it there with you. Thank you so much. We're going to be tracking the story. We understand our reporter Effort is also en route to the hospitals, where I understand the president has been taken to that place of safety. In fact, the president is safe at the presidential house.
All right, well, we'll continue to give you more updates on what has been happening in Zimbabwe, of course, with regards to the updates on that blast that took place in Bulawayo this afternoon. Well, to get an update from actual officials in Zimbabwe, we now have a representative from the embassy. We thank you very much this evening for joining us. Firstly, can you confirm that President Emmerson Mnangagwa is safe, as well as his whereabouts as we speak? Good evening, Anele. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I can hear you. I just had to move a little bit.
No problem. A very good evening to you, Anele. Please just give us an update with regards to President Emmerson Mnangagwa, as well as his safety as we speak.
Well, the details are still very sketchy, but we have been informed that the president is safe and that he's in a place of safety right now.
Now, have you been in contact with the security personnel in Zimbabwe? We do know that this is not the first time that there have been attacks against Emmerson Mnangagwa's life.
Yes, well, it is indeed true that it's another attempt to really, what can we say? It's a bit of a difficult situation. It's actually disturbing that such kind of security breach, and a threat on the president's life happens in this time when the country is celebrating peaceful elections, peaceful marches. Everything is being done properly. Why this, and why is it happening now?
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look at other details of those that have reportedly been injured. There have been unconfirmed reports of VIP security personnel that have been injured by the blasts, as well as that of a Vice President Mohadi also being injured, I believe, to the leg. Any confirmations on that?
Yes, it has been confirmed that the Vice President was injured and that there are some personnel. Well, the details are still very sketchy, but yes, there is confirmation that some security detail and some of the ADs of the president were actually injured, and probably some died in the explosion.
To your knowledge, can you give us any other information around some of the details regarding now the investigation that has taken place around this afternoon's blast?
Well, in this instance, it will be very difficult to talk any further because it's a very serious issue. It's a serious security breach, and people wouldn't want to be talking about it that much until proper investigations have been done and proper details will be put in the media through official communication.
Indeed. Let's have a look at, how close this is specifically to Zimbabwe's elections. We do know that this, in fact, was an election rally campaign, also being described by the president himself this afternoon as a wonderful election campaign. How are we expecting this to hamper further election campaigns and rallies from here on out up until July 30th?
It is obviously a very disturbing incident that when the country is taking a new direction and people are starting to experience and enjoy a new kind of democracy. And, a lot of Zimbabweans, both local and international, in the diaspora, we are all enjoying the environment, the atmosphere of the campaigning, the electioneering. Everybody's enjoying the safety, which people haven't enjoyed in such a long time. And now this is quite disturbing. Whether it is linked to elections or not, that is very difficult to tell. But all that we can say is that it is indeed a very disturbing incident that while we're enjoying so much peace, so much, people are so jovial. They're enjoying the kind of everybody's campaigning freely. People are choosing whoever they want to vote, and the president himself has emphasized that these elections have to be free and fair. And now this just takes us off this joy that we're enjoying now.
In terms of the security personnel around, presidential events or political events that have taken place, is Zimbabwe capable of being able to handle another attempted assassination upon any political leader? Is the security contingent going to be well prepared for this going forward?
Well, Zimbabwe is known of its security and peace. It's an extremely integral part of the system. But as I said earlier, those are now very serious details that can be looked at and can be officially, spoken about from the perspective of government. So in this case, I believe in our country's security. I believe in our country's ability to tackle such kind of situations. I have no doubt that probably in a few days' time there will be an official statement obviously being issued on this matter, and this matter should be resolved actually speedily, as quickly as possible. That's what we hope for, and we are happy that the president is safe and is okay.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. Anele Ndlovu from the Zimbabwean Embassy giving us updates on that Bulawayo blast which took place this afternoon, also confirming that President Mnangagwa is safe, as well as also confirming reports there of VIP security personnel being injured, as well as that of Vice President of Zimbabwe, Mohadi, also being injured in the process. We will continue to give you updates throughout the course of the evening. For now though, let's take a short break.